Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to Connecting Tucson with Jamie Overturf, where we focus on connecting our community and local businesses here in Tucson. Today, we have two very special guests with us at T Stewart Title Studios, so I know we're running a little bit behind. We're going to jump right in, okay? First, we have William Lake Wright, who is the co-owner of Right Business Investments, LLC, and the Chief Operations Officer of Right Executive Limousines. William is a former Air Force F-16 pilot and a combat veteran. He is actively involved in our community as a Scoutmaster and advisor for the Boy Scouts of America. William has been married to his wife, Jennifer, for 25 years, and together they have two children, and I probably am going to butcher this, but Alendra and Dragon.
You nailed it.
Oh, yes. Thank you. All right. Well, William, thank you for your service, and thank you for being here. Before we go any further, can I call you Bill?
Yes, please.
Okay. Just wanted to make sure. So thank you. And right beside Bill, we have Austin McLaughlin, who owns and operates Crown Custom Contracting, Crown Custom Roofing, and Crown Custom Development here in Tucson, Arizona. They are a general residential remodeling, roofing, and property development company who focuses primarily on renovations, roofing projects, and flipping houses. Austin has lived here pretty much his entire life with his whole family, who was born near the Cerrita, Tucson area. Is that correct, Austin?
Tucson, Sonoyta.
Sonoyta. Okay, yeah. I apologize. Tucson, Sonoyta. Well, Austin, thank you so much for being here, and welcome. So if you're okay with that, Bill, I'm going to go ahead and start with you.
Go right ahead.
All right. Well, you didn't really have a choice because if you said no, I was anyways, right?
Correct.
Okay. So, Bill, let's start off with something easy. How did you get started in the limousine industry?
Well, easy. That's a good way of putting it. So, obviously, I had a career beforehand. So, I was in the military for 20 years. I got out. I ran a large box home improvement company for a while, and then I was in the construction company. So, Austin and I have a little bit to talk about. And then when I ended that, I was looking for something that was unique, that was kind of a feel-good job. Nothing against construction. It's a great feel-good job. I absolutely loved being able to put my name and leave a little bit of legacy around Tucson of being able to drive around saying, hey, I built that. But hats off to Austin. It's a tough market.
Yes, it is.
So I left that, and I wanted something else where I'd be able to give a service to the community and go home at night feeling good, but being able to leave it and walk away and, just say, I'm done for the day and go from there. So it was just one of those things that I had driven for the military. And when I was up in Washington, D.C., and I decided that, hey, you know what, I'm going to buy a limousine. And I started off with one, then I got two, and I moved up from there. And it's a great company, and it's a great way to make a living.
So what made you think limousine service? I mean, that doesn't necessarily jump right out at me from military to limousine service. That doesn't seem like a natural progression. So was there steps in between, or did you just say, hey, that looks like a great venture, I'm going to start that?
Actually, it's funny because the way I thought about limousine service is I was just cruising the internet and I saw a limousine for sale. And I said, hey, you know what? This would be fun. And I started doing the numbers and calculating it and saying, okay, can I make this viable? And I decided that I could. So I went ahead and bought it. And then, so that was my first one. And then I realized the insurances and everything else were a little bit different than what I calculated. So we went with that. And then
I'm laughing because, insurances, but we'll get to that later. Go ahead.
Yeah, we can get to the insurances part later. But went with that. And it was just going to be a little side gig at first, and then decided to make it a full-time venue.
Wonderful. So tell us about Right Executive Limousines. What do you do?
Well, we are trying to find a niche in the market. When people think of limousines, I wanted them to think of the traditional style of the Hollywood, the classic town car, stretch limousine, black, leather interior with wood, that. Obviously, there's different types of limousine services. You have airport shuttle services, sedan cars. You've got the multi-passenger vans. You've got the party buses. I wanted to focus on just my niche being the traditional stretch limousine.
Okay. So you said you were trying to find your special niche. Do you offer any services out there that maybe other limousine services don't, or is there a focus that you particularly like?
Well, there's a focus that I particularly like is just, it's called executive limousines because we're more of an executive town car that's been cut and stretched. So instead of the big flashy lights, I don't have a stretched Humvee.
I was just about to ask that,
Yes.
but you know.
So, nope. Everything in our fleet is a Lincoln Town car. As I said, we're trying to get that classic style. They're smaller cars, so we're not looking at the 16 passengers or the party buses up to 50 passengers. It's just 6 and 8 passenger cars. Things I like the most are probably the wine tours out in Sonoyta.
But you don't partake, though, right? As
I
the
do
limo
not,
driver.
not as the driver.
Just
the driver is
checking.
not allowed to drink, and there is a divided compartment, so everybody in the back of the car can, enjoy their wine on the way there and on the way back, and of course during. Everyone seems to have a really, really good time on the wine tours, including me because I get to sit here and talk. The drivers get to talk to the passengers and find out a little bit about them. So as I said, it's a feel good company. You meet new people. They're excited to see you when you pull up. They're having a great time when they're in the car. And 99.9% of the time, they're really happy when they're done with the day.
Well, I remember us having a conversation, and there was something that struck me that I didn't even think about that you offer. I mean, you talked about a day on the town with the limo going shopping and stuff. I've never heard of that. I mean, do you advertise something of that nature?
I do advertise that on the webpage. It's just a night
I never
out
would
town.
have thought of that. That's what it's just like, oh, yeah, go on.
Genius.
And that is genius. Like,
Genius.
okay, I don't have to deal with holiday traffic. B, I can drink while I'm shopping.
Even more
Which
genius.
in the holidays
Even more genius.
I don't have to deal
Don't
with
tell my wife.
I know, right? I don't have to deal with the stress of, hitting the stoplight, going everywhere. Somebody else is dealing with that. I'm just sitting in the back with all of my lovely little presents, and I guess it's going to be large enough for me to wrap. But like, what made you think of that type? I don't see anybody else offering that type of service.
When I was going through and thinking of things, a lot of people, especially up in the Catalina foothills area, don't necessarily have vehicles, or they're from out of town and they want to go Christmas shopping and doing stuff like that. So that was one of the options there. You think of limousines for anniversaries and birthday parties, quinceañeras, those type of events. But what if you just wanted to go out? What if you wanted to take your friends in a limousine, go out to the movies, have a good time?
Old
Tucson Studios. Yes, we've done that before. And once again, you have that safety of having a professional chauffeur that drives you around. You get dropped off right at the front entrance, so you don't have to worry about parking. When you come out, cars there waiting for you. You go to your next venue, your safety and security, plus the luxury of a limousine. So,
and people look at you when you pull up, and
You
you're
look super cool.
I know,
Yeah.
Austin. I was just gonna say you look super cool. That's exactly what it is.
Everybody wants to know who's in the limousine, and if you turn on the strobe lights and grab some attention, then everyone
I
looks.
forgot
anyway.
you had the strobe lights.
Yes, we have the strobe lights on some of the cars.
Okay, so it's safe to say you offer a little bit of anything and everything. And if somebody has an idea, they can just say, "Hey, this is what I'm thinking. Do you offer that service?"
That's correct. If you have an idea for a limousine, then we will work with you to the best of our ability to try and make your dreams come true for that. Because if you think about when people are using a limousine, it's a special moment in their life. Whether it be a birthday party, an anniversary, wedding, you name it, graduation. Right now we've got winter formals coming up, so I'm booked out this weekend with winter formals, which is great for me. But those are special moments in people's lives. So all we're doing is playing a part of it and adding to that moment.
Okay, so before we go any further, you and my listeners may not have known this about me, but I've ridden in my share of limousines, 3 to be exact. I've ridden in 3, and 2 out of those 3 have actually been Right Executive Limousine services, and I can tell you for a fact that you are wonderful at everything you do. Our second time out, you made it so special. You knew my whiskey, by the way, which is Crown Royal, which we will get there in a second. But you made sure that there was something in there for it was our 10th wedding anniversary. That was something that was very special. So I wanted to say thank you. But there's something I always wanted to ask, but I didn't. Is there like an etiquette for passengers? Like, is there something that we should be doing or should not be doing as passengers that you maybe want to share with our listeners out there?
There's not really an etiquette per se, because you have all different walks of life that use a limousine. Only thing I ask is don't destroy the car.
Please don't destroy the
I've
car.
had people. I mean, it
Have
is
common sense.
It's leather interior with wood trim, and I've seen people that stick their feet up on the sides, and it just kind of makes you bristle. But once again, we are a service. If they're renting the car, if they were going to do that, that's pretty much we have to put up with that. Now, just as long as you don't destroy things. Accidents happen, glasses break, and stuff.
Right,
but
right.
No, that's not really an etiquette. I've had people hanging out the windows, yeah, so they've had a little bit too much alcohol and they're spraying the cars behind us.
Was alcohol involved at that point?
A lot of times in a limo, alcohol is involved. But yeah, and that's, that kind of violates the etiquette. But
okay. So I've made some mental notes on what I can do next time that I'm in your limo, since you said there's really no etiquette that I need to follow, just common sense. So somebody else that may be doing a little bit of everything, we have Austin. So just like Bill here, you didn't start off in the construction industry in the field that you're currently in now. So what prompted construction and how did you get from where you were to where you are? Because you started off in the USPS, the United States Postal Service, correct?
Yeah. So I got out of high school and I'd been in not trouble with the law, but just being a dumb kid, and moved out to Texas where my dad lives for a year. Kind of figured it out, came back and was going back to school, going to go back to college, got just working odd jobs, whatever. Then I decided school probably wasn't for me. And
that's a fair assessment.
Yeah. And I worked a couple different odd jobs, and then I landed a job at the post office, which is a great job. I actually really enjoyed it. It's fun. It's rewarding. You get, great benefits. It was a really good job. And while I was doing that, I was just moving out of the house. I had just gotten my girlfriend, who's now my wife. So I was, building furniture for our house. I built us a really cool bed frame. I built us an entertainment center, a coffee table, all kinds of cool stuff. And I was posting pictures on Facebook. One of my mom's friends said, "Hey, can you make one of those for me?" So I made one for her. And then one of her friends asked me to make one for her. So I kind of started out just making like rustic pallet furniture, stuff like that, just in the garage for fun in the evenings, on the weekends while I was working at the post office. And then one of the people that I made a piece of furniture for said, "Hey, do you know how to lay tile?" And I said, and I had laid tile before, so I did have some prior experience in my grandmother's house, my mom's house, my dad's house. But I'm the type of person that isn't gonna say no to much. I'll figure it out, or I'll find somebody who does, or I'll find help who does, or I'll learn. Especially nowadays with the internet, you can pretty much teach yourself anything. But
that kind of scares me sometimes, though, too.
Oh, absolutely. Scares me too. But I knew how to lay tiles, so I went and did in a lady's entire house while working at the post office, and she understood the stipulations. It took me about 3 weeks, just working I think I worked Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And then in the evenings, if I got off early or whatever, I went and did her whole house, and turned out great. And then her other friend was like, "Hey, come do my house." So I went and did her house, and I had 4 tile jobs that I did while I was still working at the post office before I had lined up enough work where I was like, you know what, this is what I've always wanted to work for myself. I've always known that was what I wanted to do. I just didn't know what industry or what field it was going to be in. So I said, this is a perfect opportunity. Took the risk, quit my job, walked in, quit. And
never looked back.
Yeah, never looked back.
Just kept going.
Man.
You're like, peace out.
Yeah. and then it's crazy looking back at it now, because I just kind of had a credit card, racked up a bunch of it buying tools, and then was just paying it off a little per job. And every dollar I made straight to that. Every dollar I made straight to that. And 6 months in, I had enough work that I'd paid off all the tools that I had, and then I bought a trailer, and then I bought a new truck. And then I paid those off, and then it just kind of kept escalating. And then, now we're to 6 employees with the construction company, 5 employees and a business partner with the roofing company, and 2 business partners / investors with me in the development and flipping company, where we, buy foreclosed and short sale homes and remodel them to sell to.
That's wonderful. But, you made a good point, because you had like a steady, safe job where, you had benefits and you had everything that was there. So moving from that safe and secure paycheck to entrepreneurship must have been a bit intimidating. Did you do anything to prepare yourself for that jump? Because you would be losing the benefits, you were losing that steady income.
Yeah. And I'm a risk taker. So I always kind of look at it, even now, I'm young. The worst that's going to happen is in 2 or 3 years, I can go find a job or whatever. But I know with my work ethic and things like that, I should be fine. Right. Mm-hmm. But really what I did, and my wife helped a ton. At the time was my girlfriend. She had just graduated college. She had just gotten a really good job. So I was able to kind of lean on her a little bit, which was huge help. And she was super.
Well, that's good. You've taken her out to a few dinners, right?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Just a few.
Maybe a limo.
Need a limo.
Well, yeah, no,
about to say you need a limo.
Now I have a buddy who's got a limo.
My card.
Yeah. And now I got a buddy with a limo. So and she's listening. So I'm sure she's going to love that. So I had her 100% support in everything I did. And there was a lot of times where it was like, holy crap, I'm not going to make enough money this month to pay back everything I had to buy to do these jobs, and just kind of keep working. There's been a lot of nights where, I've slept in my truck at job sites. I've done everything, and it's just kind of been there's been a ton of ups and downs, but a very fun ride. And she's been awesome in supporting me through all of it.
I think that's a huge key, especially when you're just starting off. Having somebody there that can support you and can help falling back can make it less intimidating. And I know I went through that when, I opened my own business. My husband was very supportive. So hats off to her. And what was her name?
Stephanie.
Stephanie.
Yes.
I have him sitting right next to Bill, who has already said that he's given him his card. So if you're listening, there's a limo in your future. But specifically, I did want to say, I actually made an accomplishment this weekend. I used a power tool. I used a drill.
Awesome.
And now I'm just, for me, if anybody that knows me, this is actually a big accomplishment. Many people know that I'm kind of klutzy, but I used a power tool and I put up a cabinet in my bathroom. So I thought I was very accomplished at that, but I'm sure you are way more qualified than just putting up a cabinet in a bathroom.
We put up lots of cabinets.
I was going to say. So tell us about Crown Custom Contracting. What do you do?
So now we've kind of transitioned, especially with me being involved in this development company, to a lot more of just flipping homes and doing those full gut renovations, pretty much everything out of the house, and then re-putting everything back in brand new, even down to the roof if it needs it, HVAC systems, plumbing, whatever it kind of needs to get the house ready to go back on the market. That's more of what we're doing now.
That's my nightmare right there.
Yeah, it can be. There's a lot of houses where you go in and you get everything out and you're like, all right, this one's going to be easy. Then there's ones where you get everything out and you go, uh-oh. and it's about 50-50, but you take it as it comes, and one helps with the other, and that's great. And then another big portion of what we're really focusing on now is working with realtors and doing BINSers and, the buyer inspection reports for the sale of the home. When someone's selling a house, there's some repairs that need done. The buyer wants them done before they move in. And we allow to, bill to escrow and things like that to kind of take some pressure off of the seller who sometimes may not have the cash on hand to pay for the repairs, but does have the equity in the home or whatever. We allow to bill to escrow, and we do a ton of those, work with and partner with a lot of realtors in town. So those are the two major parts of the business. I started in remodeling and grew my team, and that's, we still take on some remodeling jobs, but the bulk of what we do now is kind of our own flipping stuff. That's mine and my investors, as well as the buyer inspection stuff. And then we do a lot of flooring. I've made a lot of friends in flooring through the years, because that's kind of how I started and where I knew the most and where I was able to grow the fastest and had all the tools for. So we pretty much stay constant with floor remodels, whether it's tile, vinyl, laminate, carpet, anything. And that's just kind of stuff that's run behind the scenes. I don't really have to do too much because my guys can handle the bulk of that work, while I focus on more of the keeping the realtors happy and getting the BINSers done before close of escrow and
that is important.
Oh yeah, and I really enjoy where we're at now, because it gives me a lot of freedom to work on those other projects that I enjoy more than being on my hands and knees laying tile.
That can get kind of old, especially as you start getting older. I'm just like, no, that I need to stay upright.
Yeah, well, and I'm 6'6", so being on my hands and knees all day is not ideal.
No, it's not.
Not ideal.
It's kind of hard to climb your way back up to the standing position. So you mentioned you did some renovation too. Is that what I heard?
Yeah, so we can't, and it just kind of depends. We do work with insurance companies sometimes on restorations, renovation work as far as that goes. But it's all, we take it as it comes. I have yet to have had to advertise or market at all. It's been all word of mouth for a little over 3 years, and
that must be nice.
That's impressive.
That's very impressive.
I have yet to slow down, and now I'm getting to the point, and it sucks and it feels horrible, but to turn away work, or say, hey, I have another person I can recommend who's a little less busy, because a lot of people talk about remodeling their house or getting work done, and then they don't actually pull the trigger until they're ready to do it.
Right.
When really they should have come to us 4 to 6 weeks ago and said, hey, what's your schedule like? Here's what we want to do.
That's what I was just about to ask you. So let's just say, for example, my bathroom might need to be retiled. What's the process for that?
Yeah. And if everybody listening could take any advice on remodeling your home or doing any construction work, always give yourself ample time. There's a lot of, demolition and dirt and stuff that goes along with it that we like to be able to prepare for you guys, especially if you're still going to live in the home. Mm-hmm. But it's hard when I go to a house to bid a job and they go, okay, when can you start? And I go, well, we're booking about 6 weeks out right now to get you on a schedule. And they go, oh, well, we've been thinking about this for months. We want to get it done now before Christmas. And I go, well, you should have called me 6 weeks ago and I could have got you on the schedule. So it's, that's one big struggle that we definitely deal with, on the remodeling side, which is why I do really enjoy being able to work kind of on my own flips and the bins or stuff, because the houses are vacant. We know when the close of escrow date is. Mm-hmm. We know when the work has to be done. We're not dealing with people living in the house. Not that it's a problem, but it's especially doing flooring or any tile work, it gets dusty and it gets dirty, and we're opening up walls and there's drywall being cut, and there's a lot more that goes into it than a lot of people think when they stand back and go, oh, and they go to their friend's house who had their bathroom remodeled, ask them how the dust and the dirt was while they lived through it. So
it can be. Yeah, absolutely. So obviously there is some steps and procedures that are involved. Are you 100% like hands-on? So if somebody comes to you and says, I want to remodel, do you purchase the tile? Do you do everything?
Yeah.
Are you 100%, or do you have them?
I really enjoy the design side of a lot of stuff. I wouldn't consider myself a designer by any means. I understand what's kind of trending at times and what's modern and what's, people like, or if, I want the Santa Fe style, or I want the Southern style, or I want, the modern grays and whites style, or I want the shaker cabinets. And, I'm really good about being able to point people in the right direction. But like I said, nowadays with the internet, I literally just tell people, hey, if you want to get on, what's it called? Why am I blanking now? What's the
YouTube?
House? No.
House.com?
No, yeah, house.com.
House, okay.
And, there's another one that all the girls use for all their stuff. But
I use Pinterest. Okay, I was going to say, is it Pinterest?
I'm like, I can't think about it. No, yeah, I tell people all the time, get on Pinterest and look for...
That's why you have me here. I help feed you the answers.
Get on Pinterest and find the bathroom you like and find the kitchen you like,
okay.
and I can help you guys design it around that. But no, we do everything down to purchasing material, delivering material, demo, start to finish, A to Z.
Nice.
We handle everything, so it's...
Perfect. So... that's super interesting. What is the most interesting project you've taken on, or what's your favorite project to tackle?
Well, I really enjoy doing kitchens, just because, especially if somebody...
I need a kitchen
especially
redone.
if somebody wants to put a little money into their kitchen, because I love to cook. I spend a lot of time in the kitchen. My wife likes to cook. We spend a lot of time in the kitchen cooking. And my kitchen, at the time, I wish I would have done it better, or a little differently. But I really enjoy doing kitchens, especially, gourmet kitchens or chef kitchens where people like really enjoy cooking and want to kind of go and give themselves all the options that a kitchen nowadays can offer. That I really enjoy. As far as the most interesting job we've ever been on,
or is there a horror story?
No. I mean, there was just, it was a super fun job. One of my favorite ones I've ever done, working for one of the most amazing people I've ever met. But I went over there and he had gone to Home Depot and designed up his kitchen, which is fine by all means. It's fine. And it turned out being a great kitchen, but he had went and purchased his cabinets from Home Depot, and, he met someone in there who recommended me and called me out. And all he wanted to do was a shower. A couple $100,000 later, and his whole house was completely redone. But one thing led to another, and every time I'm there, he's like, okay, we're going to tear this wall down now. Okay, and we're going to move this outlet over here. Oh, and my fireplace, I want to build it out and inset the TV. Oh, and then it's just every single day we went to the job, it was one thing after another, and it was awesome. It was a super fun project because it was just kind of like by the seat of your pants. You never know what you're going to walk into every day. And he was like, all right, we're moving this ductwork on the roof. And it just, that was a super fun job.
So how did you bid that time out? I just was trying to figure.
Like I said, by the seat of my pants, it was just kind of like, he's like, all right, we're moving this ductwork on the roof. What do you think? Let me call my HVAC guy. But
Okay.
It was just, that was a super fun job. We ended up literally the entire house got completely gutted while they lived there. And it was an awesome, everything down to the roof being redone, the exterior paint, the windows being replaced. We literally...
It sounds like you get to have a little fun on your job.
Oh, yeah, they're fun. I wouldn't trade it for the world.
Oh, well, that's good. But in talking about interesting, I bet I know this gentleman next to you has probably seen some interesting stories.
One or two.
One
yes.
or two. Would you care to share? What's the most interesting story that you can tell us without using any names?
Are we talking construction or are we talking about limousines?
Well, let's do limousines because,
Okay.
that is your business.
Yes, it is. Well, we talked about, the etiquette. I had a group of gentlemen that were out celebrating a birthday party up in Phoenix. And it's $500 if you throw up inside the car. And a lot of people think that's an amazingly high price. But you have to understand, it takes the car out of service
Austin shaking his head, no, it's really not.
for an
Very
entire
affordable.
day. Oh, yeah, very affordable. Austin's like, I'm renting a limo. So, but it takes the limo out of service for a day because it has to be cleaned and it has to have, ozone
They
in
have to
there.
quarantine it, don't
Oh,
they?
it does. It's bad.
It's like bodily fluids, right?
Yeah.
So I knew I was in trouble because at the end of the night, they were all fighting at who got to sit next to the windows.
Oh, no.
And we're driving down the 202 in Phoenix, and the windows are down, and they're taking turns just vomiting out the windows. And they are,
Oh, my God.
they are spraying all the cars behind us. It's like this cloud of vomit. And I'm like, they're not inside the car. The outside of the car is a wreck, let me tell you.
My producer is making the funniest faces right now.
You just have to go with it. But that was probably one of the more exciting ones.
I will make a note to not do that to you.
Yes, please.
Do they throw up inside the car?
They did not.
Oh, my goodness.
Do they still get charged $500 for the outside?
Nope, because I can wash the outside.
Yeah, the outside's pretty
Inside,
easy.
as I said, you got that nice leather, you got the carpet.
I would have tipped you probably an extra $100 at least.
They have contracted with me several times after the fact.
Oh, okay.
So that's good, though. That's good. So you've got return customers. You were
Yes.
very awesome. Okay, so I at first thought he was going to say me, but that's okay,
No, yours was fun.
But you always do find a way to make things special, and I do thank you. That was you go out of your way, so just don't ignore my calls. I was just hoping that you were not going to.
Every single customer is different and unique. So, whether it's going to Old Tucson Studios or birthday parties or anything else, they're all unique, and it's getting to know those people. And there's a lot of personality here in Tucson and in Phoenix and the surrounding areas. So getting to know them is really the most fun part of the job. And once you get to know them a little bit, then if you do have repeat customers, as you said, you can play on those little facts and just make the experience that much more enjoyable.
Exactly, and I think that's probably why we always will continue to go back to you as long as you keep answering the phone calls and being like, yeah, sure, you can come in. Yeah. You don't hit that, oh, it's Jamie, ignore. Anyways, we had talked prior to coming on the show, and are there any misconceptions that maybe there are about the limousine service that you might want to clear up?
Well, as I said, it really all depends on who you go with. There's several limousine companies here in Tucson, and a lot of people always think that they can fit as many people as they want inside a limousine. And we specialize in 6 and 8 passenger limousines, which legally, and as an insurance agent, Jamie, you understand this.
Yes, I do.
You have 8 seat belts, you can fit 8 people in that car. We always have people try and push the limits. Oh, there's small people, they can fit in here. Yes, but the car is rated. Actually, it's a weight rating. It's not a number rating, but
okay.
It is also based on the amount of seat belts. But overall, it's a weight rating. So if you try and put 10 people in a car that's rated for 8, then you're going to have some problems on there. There are larger cars. There are there's a company here in town that specifically focuses on large limousines. There's the party buses. There's all kinds of stuff to do. But yeah, we do 6 and 8 passengers. So that's pretty much.
Make sure that when you're booking the limousine, you make sure you know how many people are going to be in that limousine, correct?
And yes, I actually had someone book a 6-passenger limousine the other day, and they put 10 passengers in the notes. They said 10 passengers. I'm like, 10 passengers will not fit in a 6-passenger limousine unless we want to do shuttle runs back and forth, which I'm more willing to do. But
did they change the booking?
They did. They wound up getting 2 cars.
Okay, I was going to say they needed to get 2 vehicles.
And I that's one of the first questions I ask when they call in is how many people you're looking to transport. And if they're looking to get everybody in one limousine, I have no qualms whatsoever of sending them to one of the other limousine companies. I know most of the other limousine operators here in town, and I'll send them the business. I know what their special niches are. So if they're looking for sedan service, I can send them to a sedan company. If they're looking for a party bus, I can send them a party bus. A 16-passenger limousine, I can send them there.
So it's not as cutthroat as, other...
It is not. And I've gotten calls from, other companies saying, hey, this person's looking for this style of limousine. That's what you offer. So it's actually a really nice group of people. I know them, as I said, almost all, the majority of them. There's the limousine, not corporation, but the group of limousine operators, and we all operate pretty well.
Wonderful. So I know you're very active in the community. Can you tell us a little bit about what you do?
I am very active in the Boy Scouts.
You're an Eagle Scout?
I got my Eagle Scout
Okay.
29 years ago as of November 29th. So I'm pushing on 30 years of when I got my Eagle Scout here in Tucson with Troop 100, which no longer exists. And it's kind of a funny story because I got my Eagle Scout and then I went away to the military. And when I came back, I went to look up my Scoutmaster. And I couldn't find him anywhere. And so I contacted, one of the assistant Scoutmasters, and he told me, unfortunately, that my Scoutmaster had passed away. So I never actually got to thank him for pushing me because as a teenage boy, there's other things that come into life besides, going to get your Eagle Scout. And I was a lot more interested in those other things. So he really pushed me to, finish up. And I didn't realize at the time the benefits that it would have offered me later on in life for being an Eagle Scout. So I never got to thank him. And so I decided that in my thanks to him, I would get involved with the Scouts. And so I became a Scoutmaster myself. And then I was a Cub Master for the youth. So from kindergarten through 5th graders, I was a Cub Master for them. And then I also got involved with venturing, which is for 14 to 21-year-olds and focuses on high adventure scouting. Ooh. So indoor skydiving, quads, Class 5 rapids. I mean, the really, really fun stuff.
Class 5 rapids.
Class 5 rapids, yes. We went whitewater rafting 3 times now. So we took a bunch of kids down the coast of California in the tall ships, the big wooden ships. So that's venturing. It's a little bit more exciting than just.
And these aren't young kids in Class 5. I'm like, the insurance agent in me just went, woo, 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 woo.
No.
Like, they're teenagers, right? They're not like 5 or 6
venturing
years
is
old.
14 to 21. And yes, we launched a few on some of the rapids and, I had to get them back into the boat. But, it's all safe and it's all good. That's why you said indoor skydiving. We can't throw them out of an airplane. That's against the
rules.
Right?
Not yet.
No. But indoor skydiving, they still get the same thrill. And they get to spin around and fly.
So is there indoor skydiving around here that I'm not aware of?
Yes, there is, up in Eloy.
Oh, Eloy, because that's where they do the real skydiving.
Up there, but they actually have the wind tunnel up there as well.
Okay.
And they train a lot of the Olympic skydiving teams and everything else because it's a controlled environment. So, but we took ours out to Pigeon Forge, Tennessee.
Oh.
We were driving to the National Jamboree, which is a huge gathering of scouts from all over the nation in West Virginia. And it was a 21-day trip. And we went indoor skydiving, went splunking 21 stories underground, where we made them fit through holes that, if their hard hat would fit through, then their bodies would fit through. And it really boosts their confidence and lets them know that there's really no limit if they put their mind to it, what they can accomplish. And they got to do everything. So it was a lot of fun.
That is phenomenal. I've been skydiving, but it's been a tandem skydive. I'm afraid to jump out of a plane on my own because the klutz that I am, I'm figuring I might not hit that little pull tab that I need to pull, or I might surpass the limit of 5,000 feet that you need to pull something. I'm not 100% sure. I'd just be sitting there that ground's getting really close. I should probably do something. I don't know.
I had a dive instructor that told me that if your chute doesn't open, you have the rest of your life to figure it out. So, and if you really think about that one, it makes a lot of sense. And the other saying you say, it's not the fall that kills you, it's the sudden stop at the end. So you want to make sure that chute comes out.
Yes. Oh, my goodness. So if you're just joining us today, you are listening to Connecting with Tucson with Jamie, where small businesses come together to talk business. Connecting Tucson is brought to you by the Jamie Overturf Insurance Agency, and we are broadcasting live from Stewart Title Studios here in Tucson. And today we have Bill, who is with Right Executive Limousines, and then we have Austin, who is with Crown Custom Contracting. So thank you two again for being on. So I'm going to get back into it. So Austin, I'm going to go back to you. Running your own business is definitely hard work, and I don't think everyone's prepared to put in the time, the hours, and the money, or even making the connections that it takes to make lasting and sustaining businesses stay in business. So many fail within that first year or two. How did you financially and mentally prepare for entrepreneurship, and how did you keep yourself in business? Because you're obviously doing well. What's the key to your success?
I don't think there's necessarily one key. I definitely think you have to just kind of always try and look forward, stay positive, keep working, keep doing what you're good at. You're always going to have times where you struggle or trying to get into parts of it that you aren't necessarily maybe good at, or where you're going to lose a little money or lose a little time, and you're definitely not going to make friends with everybody you meet, because unfortunately there are a lot of people out there that aren't as nice as some. But I would say, always just trying to have a positive attitude with everything you do. Work ethic, I think, has probably been my biggest, the biggest thing I've done to be successful. In if I have to stay up late, in the beginning, I was doing all the labor, all the bookkeeping. I hired an accountant about a year and a half after I started, and I was trying to do everything myself because I would just, do the research and learn because I was interested in it and I wanted to learn how to do it. And then I got to a point to where I was too big to do that stuff, so I passed that on. And then I got to a point to where I wasn't doing the labor as much anymore. I was just out bidding jobs and gathering material and doing design work, that I could come back into doing the bookkeeping and the payroll and the accounting, and then teaching myself how to do all that, stay up till 11 midnight and wake up at 5 a.m. and go to work.
So you do sleep?
Sometimes.
Okay.
No, I try to get as much sleep as I can, especially with, I do a lot of in construction, and I'm sure you do a lot of driving. I'm all from one job site to the next, to Home Depot, 10 trips a day to Home Depot.
I know all about driving.
Yeah, exactly. Construction and limos. I was going to
see if you were going to say something, but I didn't. So.
Yeah, and at first I loved Home Depot. It was my favorite place to be. Now I dread it. But I definitely think you have to have a really strong work ethic to be an entrepreneur and run your own business. You have to have amazing people skills, not only in dealing with employees and dealing with customers, but just treating everybody like you would want to be treated if you were in their position. I would say the number one biggest success for me is all my employees, who are amazing. The guys that work for me are great. I treat them like family. Always overcompensate them for what they're doing, make sure that they're appreciated. That's been a huge help for me, because I know I can rely on them to take care of stuff if I can't be there, or if I'm doing something else. Having good people around you is a huge thing. And whether it's friends or family, when I first quit my job, my family was kind of like, well, you're not, all my family are college graduates, have master's or bachelor's degrees. And it was kind of like college was really the only option. And my grandmother was the same way, college. And now obviously that's not a question for me. College just wasn't for me, but always just trying to I never really got upset or anything. I just kind of worked through everything and stayed positive through it all. Had a strong work ethic, worked, like I said, if you're on a job and it's got to be done tomorrow and you got to sleep in your car so you can wake up in 4 hours and start again, whatever it takes to kind of get the job done. That was my the biggest, I attribute most of my success is, just a strong work ethic, treating people really well, especially customers, and, having good people skills. Those are all in my industry. Some industries, you don't need that if you're sitting behind a computer, e-commerce, things like that. Those are some industries that I have friends and family in where you don't have to have a great personality and you don't have to be, people oriented. But as far as my success goes, definitely a strong work ethic is probably the.
Okay. And you know what, Bill, I'm going to ask you the same question because, I see so many businesses come and go in that it's usually the first 2 years where I think they're like, oh, I didn't anticipate the taxes, or, oh, I didn't anticipate I'd actually have to go out and market, or, oh my gosh.
Insurance costs.
Yeah, insurance costs.
Okay, guys. Okay. Let's side topic. But seriously, like how you're obviously very successful. You've been doing this a while. Why do you think you're so successful and other companies are coming and going? What makes you so successful in what you're doing?
Well, I was told when I first started this to start small and grow slowly. So as I said, I started with one car, then I got 2 cars, 3 cars, 4 cars, and I, grew from there. But really what it's all about, and as Austin mentioned, it's the customer service. It's the attention to detail. And that attention to detail is everything. So it's the little bottle of Crown Royal in the car.
The big bottle of Crown Royal.
Big bottle.
It was a nice full decanter.
For my limo, you'll need a handle. When I order mine, you'll need a handle of Crown, please.
But it's those little attentions to detail.
It is.
So if it's a birthday, telling them happy birthday, the white gloves, we actually have, during the wintertime. We don't do it during the summertime, but during the wintertime, we actually wear white gloves. And it serves 2 purposes. 1, it shows that attention to detail that we are giving that white glove treatment to the customer. And 2, it helps wipe off the fingerprints off the black paint on the car, which will collect dust and look. But,
I didn't even think about that.
So there's a little subtlety to it, but
Dual
it really
purpose.
does stand out. We wear the black or charcoal gray suits with a bright red tie. You see I'm wearing red today. Not everyone on the radio can see that. But it's kind of our trademark is the red tie and the white gloves. And so we kind of marketed ourselves of that quality and attention to detail and the focus on customer service because that's really what you're doing. If you're renting a limousine, you're not just renting a transportation. You can go get a car and have your friend drive you as a designated driver, but you want that full experience. So my chauffeurs are all professional chauffeurs. They've been driving for a long time, and they understand that they need to pay that extra attention and make sure that it is the best experience as possible.
Yeah, it's not like you're getting an Uber or something that's out there to have.
No, and as a matter of fact, people who drive for Uber or Lyft or taxi cabs don't make good limousine drivers because those industries they want to get from point A to point B as quickly as possible so they can get their next fare and make more money. In the limousine world, they're renting the car for the experience.
And the time and everything.
So for the time. So there's no rush. And I have to tell that to a lot of drivers that are coming on. Take your time getting there. And, one of the tests is, I put a wine glass and I fill it with wine and I put it in the back. And you have to drive around town. You cannot spill this wine glass. You cannot knock it over. So because it's just to take that time. Because if you spill a bottle of wine on somebody in the back, they kind of get upset about that. So
just a little.
When you're talking about a 28-foot long car, going around corners. There's special ways to take corners. There's no U-turns made. So, yeah.
Wow, that just kind of blew my mind for a second. No U-turns. I was like, I'm just do a U-turn, like whip it around. You can't because you're in a nice stretch. You gotta make.
You have
right
to pre-calculate
turns.
parking. And luckily, when you have drivers that drive a lot within the community, they know the areas and they know, okay, I can get the car in through this way and I can get it out this way. I'm going to have to back up, make a 14-point turn in order to get in and out of places. So that's where the experience comes in. You don't want to be going, and hit a pothole and knock everybody in the back.
Exactly. So I know we talk a lot about businesses and, Austin, sometimes you get a few hours of sleep. But to me, I think it's very important that, we need to take a step back and actually maybe unwind for the day. Or is there something that you do to help yourself decompress? Are we talking to Austin or me? We're going to go to you.
She was looking at you.
I'm looking at you, Bill.
She was looking at me.
So I'll go to you, Bill, and then we'll go back to you because I'm going to ask you guys the same questions.
Royal,
I know. So yeah, we're good. What about you?
It's not so much of a decompress. As the business has grown, obviously I've hired more people to take care of more things. When I first started, I did it all. I maintained the cars, I polished the cars, waxed them, washed them, vacuumed them, and did everything, drove everything. And then I started hiring more drivers. I have mechanics. that work on the cars for me now. I have people that I take it to do, the wax and polish and shines. So that frees up a lot of time, and I can focus on just the scheduling and the daily activities of the business. And I have a CPA too. So.
Oh yeah, I do now as well.
I think that's almost mandatory for being a business owner in some respects.
But quite honestly, I love driving.
Okay.
So as I said, it's getting to meet those people and sharing those events. So anytime that there's a wine tour, I try and jump on those. That's a Saturday thing or Saturday, Sunday. So you can do them during the week, but I try and jump in on those and just spend 8-10 hours with, customers and having a lot of fun.
That's nice.
So, and if there's a special event, and I can jump in on it, then I will, and I'll get to drive. And there's not a lot of need to decompress in this job. As I said, in previous careers that I had, there was, and you'd have a stressful day and you need to find some way to vent about it and, move on to the next day. For this one, it's kind of like I get home, I'm like, oh, that was a great day. We did this and they laughed and, had a good time. And it's just the only thing I really have to worry about is, washing the car, turning it around for the next event.
Nice. Austin, how about you? Besides some Crown.
Yeah, a little Crown. I don't know. I really enjoy spending time with my family. I have a lot of family on my mom's side here in town. We get together a lot, play cards, drink, have dinner, hang out.
Ooh.
We do that a lot. And then, I have a Razor side by side. Me and my wife like to take that out and go riding out by our house in Vail. Those are just some things that, get your mind off of work. And, I love movies. I'm a movie guy. So,
Movie buff.
yeah, I like watching movies. So we'll watch a lot of movies. I haven't actually watched as many in probably the last 2 years as I did previously. Trying to get back to that. I used to watch like a movie a night every night.
Wow.
Which was awesome. It was a lot of fun, but don't really have that time anymore, but still, relaxing, watching movies, doing something that takes my mind completely off of work or anything else I have going on, and just being able to focus on what's going on in front of me. If I'm in the Razor out driving, it's definitely not, driving in the desert. My mind is nowhere near work. So those are just all
I hope
things.
not.
Yeah.
Focus on the rocks
Yeah,
and
exactly.
the little critters that like to what I call kamikaze out in front of you, like there's suicide squirrels or something. I don't know.
Bees.
Yeah.
Well, I thought
haven't
for
ran
sure
into-
you were going to say that the bees decompress you because you have 3 hives in your backyard that I am super scared to step on the property so I don't get stung. I thought that was going to come out, but no bees.
Those are my personal home protection system. I do have 3 apiaries on my property, and I do keep bees. Just one of the small things. I have goats. I have chickens.
One of the
dogs,
many
cats.
things
Yeah,
that he
many
does.
things. So that is actually, I think there's more stress sometimes than they're decompressing. But you have to feed them, but yeah, it's a great little ranch. The goats are always happy to see you. They're herd animals, so they see you as the leader of the herd, and they always scream for food as soon as you feed them. They're happy.
I just hear that goat screaming in the background off of YouTube, like, meh.
Oh yeah, when they're hungry, they'll let you know. And the same thing with chickens, But the bees are kind of fun until
Okay.
they become Africanized, and then they're not fun anymore. I did have that. I have Italian bees currently, and they give me about 20 to 40 pounds of honey every year. So, and with that honey, you can make all kinds of neat
And you
stuff.
don't have Africanized bees anymore, correct?
No, I actually the Italian bees are actually very calm. So I used
Okay,
to
wait,
walk
there's
out there.
different types of bees.
There are.
Yeah.
So
Every country has its own bee.
yeah.
Really?
And, yeah,
I don't know.
There are American bees.
Did I not know this?
Most of the bees that they use for commercial are either Italian or Russian bees. And
There's Russian bees.
there are.
I think of the Russian mob right now. I'm not quite sure.
And they're not nearly as mean as the African ones. But I went walking out to the hives, and I don't usually carry a suit or wear a suit
Right.
or wear a veil if I'm just checking on the hives. And all of a sudden, I got smacked right in the forehead and stung. It wasn't even a warning. If most of the Italian bees are going to warn you, they're going to hit you in the forehead, but they don't sting you. They just kind of give you a warning, says back up. That's when you kind of just leave them alone. But this one just nailed me right in the forehead, and I got stung like a bullseye. And then as soon as that one stung me, they all started coming after me.
Because isn't there like a little bee signal that they send out once you get stung?
Once they sting you, their stinger stays within your skin and actually kills the bee because it rips out their abdomen, and that releases a pheromone, which alerts all the other bees that, hey, Bob just died defending the colony. Let's go in for Bob. And so I pulled a Monty Python, run away, and I'm running. But I was swallowed. I mean, if you've seen the original movie with Arnold Schwarzenegger with where he goes to Mars trying to Total Recall,
Okay.
and the big lady going through customs going 2 weeks. That's what I looked like. My face was all swollen up and
Oh my goodness.
it was all lopsided.
And this is why I won't be stepping foot on your property because I don't want to die.
Oh no, I took care of that problem. So they're no
Problem
longer
stand.
Africanized bees. That was quick and taken care of real fast.
Okay, we will leave that one for another discussion on how you took care of an Africanized colony of bees, because I'm sure that I know I'll have lots of questions, so we're just going to go with that one.
Only one bee had to die.
Okay. Oh my.
You only got stung one time in that whole thing?
Oh no! I said only one bee had to die as far as changing it from an African colony. To a
Oh,
European
I
colony.
thought you were talking about when you got stung. I'm like, yeah, you got lucky running out of there with one.
No, I got stung well over a dozen times.
Yeah, see, no. Okay. Anyways, we're going to move on from that topic. So
Bees.
it's okay. I'm good.
Jamie loves bees.
I love the honey. Let's just put it that way. Honey
honey
is
makes
good.
meat.
Honey's good.
Honey is good. Bees bad. Honey good. Bees bad. But I do have one question, and I actually asked two questions for all of my guests that come on the show. I find Tucson to be a unique style of doing business, specifically for my insurance industry. They want to get to know me. They want to make a connection, and before they'll even, start talking to me and giving me some of their business. But I like it because I like to make those connections, and I like to, get to know everybody. Do you find that Tucson is a little bit different doing business than, let's say, Phoenix or Texas, per se? So I'll go to Austin.
Yeah, I think Tucson is extremely diverse. Obviously, we're a snowbird town, so we've got a lot of elderly people that come down here during snowbird season. We've got large communities of, people that come and go, here for half the year, gone for half the year. We're a college town, even though we're a lot bigger than most college towns. So we've got a lot of, younger kids down by the university in that whole area. I extremely diverse in different communities and areas that you go. And that definitely, we don't do a lot of work down by the U of A. There's a lot of, construction and remodeling going on residential properties down there. A lot of them are older homes being rented by students and things like that. So those aren't really a priority for those people to get them, looking nice. And then there's a lot of times where when we're doing jobs for snowbirds or things like that, it's like, hey, we're going to be gone for 6 months, remodel our house, and we'll come back to a new home.
Oh, nice.
But yeah, Tucson's very, very interesting town. A lot of different people. I've met all walks in what I do, and it's been super fun. But as far as, I think every place has something special to offer. Tucson's definitely special. I was born and raised here. I love it. It's definitely, there's no other place I've ever been like it, with the weather and the mountains and the desert and being able to kind of have everything right here. I definitely love it for its beauty, but it's cool.
Definitely diverse and
diverse
multicultural.
and lots of culture here for sure.
How about you? How do you find doing business in Tucson differs, or do you?
I'm going to piggyback off what Austin said about the snowbirds and the college students. When you think about Tucson, it doubles over the wintertime. So with all the snowbirds coming in, the college students, and in the summertime in the limousine business, my first 2 years, it was like crickets. So because all my customers were the snowbirds or the college students. And so I really had to diversify and figure out how am I going to get customers that actually live here, because there's very few Tucson natives that actually stay in Tucson their entire lives. But the people who actually live here during the summertime, and finding that business, to keep me going. And really what I did was I just pretty much shut down over the summertime. We would still do the airport runs and everything else, but then I would go up to Mlin and run the Boy Scout camp up there for the entire summer, which is really nice because it's 85 degrees.
I was going to say, in the summer, Mlin is phenomenal.
Beautiful.
So it worked out beautifully for me because I would sit there and run the Boy Scout camp and provide that training for them, the merit badges and all the fun, and stay out of the Tucson heat. And then I would come back down right as camp was over, get everything going back up. And we really run, our busiest season is from, end of August when the college is coming back in, September, October when all the snowbirds are coming back in. We're currently running into, as I was talking about, the winter formals. We've got Christmas and Thanksgiving that goes on. And then after New Year's, New Year's is also a big one. And then you've got, Valentine's Day, St. Patrick's Day, those are big. And then, of course, we've got prom, which is by far our biggest season, and graduation. And then we have June and July and beginning of August, which is just cricket, cricket, cricket. So
Yeah.
you have to find something. And when you think about it, what's the other areas such as weddings? Not a lot of people are getting married in Tucson in June and July. So
True.
really had to
That'd be
find
hot.
what's going to be that niche, and it's going to be the around town service. Do you want to drive, or do you want us to drive you? You can go shopping.
I'd
go to
never thought
movies.
of that, and that's super cool. And I'm definitely down to do that because I can get 6 or 8 of my family members and friends. You could take us cruise around. We've talked about it before, going like brewery hopping, or
Oh, definitely.
or even just down to Sonoyta.
I think you
'cause-
just hit his niche, brewery
Exactly.
hopping, and
Yeah.
I see booze as a common theme in a lot
Exactly.
that he talks about. So.
And
Yeah.
well, it's the industry, right?
I know, right?
It
You
is.
can't drink and drive.
I had some kids contract me to literally just drive them around town, and the one thing they really wanted to do was go to Whataburger. And they wanted to go through drive-through at Whataburger in a limousine.
In a limo?
Yep. And so I've had to find a Whataburger that had a
A long
drive-through that I
enough
could
drive
fit.
through that
Yep. So I wasn't sitting there going forward, back, making the turns. But we did. We pulled up. They placed their order. We went through. They picked it up, and that was the highlight of their day. That's really all they want to do besides drive up and down the roads and just be in the limousine. And as I said, to each their own. Everyone
Teach
has
their own,
own.
absolutely. All right, we're coming up to our last question that I ask everybody because I said there was 2. Austin, what do you consider to be your biggest regret, or either in business or personal life?
Regret. Wow. You make me. He's over here like, oh, I guess time to think about this. Oh, thank God.
She chose you first.
I know.
I really, really try to not have any regrets. I don't want
Okay.
to cop out of the answer by any means. I try to, like I said, I try to stay positive about everything. So if I mess something up or I do something wrong, I'm going to either
Fair
try and
enough.
figure out how to not do it again or how to fix it, rather than try and dwell on anything negative that happened. So I try not to have any regrets. I would say the biggest thing that I regret in business is in the beginning thinking that I needed other people around me and to help me with my business, when it was a lot more work doing it by yourself, and not having partners or people there to back you or do things when you aren't there. But just being way too trusting. That would be my biggest regret, and trusting
Okay.
certain people to help me or that I thought would be there for me that weren't. And then that's the biggest regret I have, but I still wouldn't call it a regret. It was a learning experience.
Learning experience. Okay.
Exactly. I learned a lot from those people that were there and then weren't there. And that's kind of helped me tailor everything to where it is now, and, be very picky about who I partner with and who I work with, especially when it comes to business and finances, because that's, important stuff. But
Perfect.
that's probably my biggest regret.
Okay, perfect. Well, you had some time to think, Bill. So, what?
Yeah, yours better be good.
Mine is good.
Dang. Okay, well, go for it.
I don't believe in regrets. I don't believe in them at all. You make your life's decisions, and if they're right or wrong, it's how you react to those life decisions. So if you make a mistake, how do you overcome that, and how do you press on? As my kids will tell you, one of the things I always say is there's no such thing as failure in life. The only failure is when you stop trying. So I might not have succeeded at everything I've tried to do on the first try. So, okay, that one didn't work. Let's move on. Let's try it a different way and keep going from there. I've done a lot of things in my life, and I'm very proud of saying anything I've ever put my mind to, I've succeeded in doing. And I try and pass that on to the youth that I work with my own kids of, you know what? You make a decision. Go with it. So if it's right or it's wrong, stand behind it and say, you know what? I screwed up. I'm going to move on. I'm going to do it this way from now on. If it was right, then keep going with it.
I like that.
In the fighter pilot realm of things, we're making decisions at 800 miles an hour, split-second decision making, and you don't have time to turn around and say, ooh, did I do the right thing? It's, nope, already took this course of action.
decision.
I've got to
You got to follow through with that
So-
course of action, or something's going to go
Yeah,
horribly
and
wrong.
So that's really kind of focused everything on
Okay.
the way I make my decisions, and I have no regrets. I wouldn't change anything in my life. Have I made a lot of mistakes? Oh, yeah. But they've molded me into the person that I am today. And if I had changed one of those things, I wouldn't be that same person. I wouldn't have the same contacts, the friends, the network, and everything else. So there's no
Aw.
such thing as regret.
I like that. I might have to steal that answer too. Both of you, wonderful. Thank you. First finally, I'd like to go ahead and tell Austin and Bill, thank you for coming on Connecting Tucson. I really appreciate you being here. For those of you that are listening or downloading, please feel free to check out our website. You can see Bill's red shirt and get their mugshots on there as well. But I always end it. Austin, how can they contact you if they would like your services?
Crown Custom Contracting on Facebook, crowncustomcontracting.com. The link is on the website that she just said in here, so you can find me on there.
Perfect.
Give me a call. I'd love to meet you.
All right. And Bill?
I'd like to say I already liked your Facebook page, so you'll notice that today.
Ouch. Better re-like them.
Yeah. I'll find you and re-like you.
Yeah. So same thing. We have the webpage is Right Executive Limousines.com. We're also on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, everything else. So Right Executive Limousines, Right with the W like the Wright brothers.
Excellent.
So yeah. And then, of course, you can contact us by phone, which most people in Tucson like to do. We do have online booking, but they like to call and talk to a person.
Live, absolutely. All right. Well, that's all we have time for with Connecting Tucson with Jamie. Please feel free to check us out next month when we have some more exciting guests for you guys to meet.